Hi guys, Flamewing80 here with a review video on the first two parts of Living World Season 2. Most of my thoughts on this are that I really enjoyed the overall story that has happened so far, but there are some things that I absolutely don't like or don't understand about it. In the instance for the first part of the most recent update, which is Entanglement, I was constantly wondering how we knew the dragon's name in the first instance. It was just, okay, that was pulled out of thin air type moment when I saw that we knew Mordith's name. It just was out of the blue. Another thing in both part 1 and part 2, as we went deeper and deeper in and more of the stuff started coming into light and we started to realize the dragon was behind it, I started wondering, where's the pact? They appear once in all of the 2 updates so far, and in one of them a base is attacked that is actually a major stronghold for the pact. It's a place that you go in your storyline early on in game, and it's a place where you and Tahern discuss founding Fort Trinity. And then all of a sudden it's attacked, and you go there, and you're the one to respond to this instead of Tahern. So I always found that kind of weird that all of a sudden, yeah, I'm the commander, but where's the marshal? Why aren't his men responding to this as well? And I just couldn't figure it out, and it's never explained in this part. I'm really, really hoping that it gets explained later on, because it's very, very important that they do, and I'm actually one of those people who likes Tahern quite a bit. I never once felt that he was stealing the spotlight or anything like that. Granted, as most of you guys have seen, I have played Sylvari. Actually, almost every single one of my tunes is Sylvari. I have 4. My Necro, my Ellie, my Mesmer, and my Thief are all Sylvari. And with that storyline, Tahern's introduced really quickly. And he is there throughout most of the storyline, coming back constantly. So you never once feel like he's being shoehorned in there when you get to a certain point, and he's replacing your friend from the order that you joined. It's just like, oh, hey, Tahern's back type feeling. At least that's what I got when I played a Sylvari. But that's a tangent that isn't related to this. Sorry about that. I did really enjoy the storyline, as I said. I liked the introduction to it and how we ended up coming into Dry Top and all of that. It was very fun and very interesting, and it kept me wanting to move forward, even with all the Scarlet stuff being placed back in there. I admit right off the bat I was kind of wary when Scarlet started re-entering, and also about the fact that there was another Sylvari who had turned, but I had expected Sylvari to start turning because it was obvious Mordramoth was awakened to us at the end of Season 1, and Sylvari have been hinted that if they're not part of the dream, that they could turn, and when it was revealed that this guy was soundless, it's just like, oh, he's not part of the dream, he's not restrained by the pale tree, his mind could be easily corrupted. Which brings up a whole bunch of questions for me about the Nightmare Court, but that's also a little bit heavier of a topic there. And I am going to state right now, despite all my questions through this and all the things that have gone unanswered, I absolutely loved the way Entanglement ended. It was just a shocker, and it's like, oh my god, did I just go into that machine? Am I now gonna end up like Scarlet? Because, again, I play Sylvari, and you go into the machine, and it's just kind of scary because you're like, is my character gonna go completely insane because he's seeing all of this stuff? Am I gonna turn on the mother tree? What's going on? I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't bring this up for players who did play Sylvari, or who do play Sylvari. When you go and talk to Rox and Bram and all of them afterwards, it was just like, they're wondering if I'm dead or not, but aren't they curious if I go insane? Here I am, a Sylvari, and I just went into the machine that made Scarlet go insane, and they're not curious if I'm gonna go insane? Okay. Is this just because I killed Scarlet at the end of Season 1, or is it because of something else that you guys suddenly know I'm not gonna go insane? Anyways, that was just a question that I had at the end of it, and I am really looking forward to meeting with the Pale Tree and all of this stuff, and I really, really hope that they bring Tehern into the storyline soon, because it wouldn't make sense if he didn't appear. I mean, I get a lot of players don't like him. I get a lot of people think he was stealing their limelight in the personal story, but you also need to keep in mind, while yeah, a lot of personal story near the end there was trying to complete his hunt, he also wasn't there when you defeated Zaitan. And there's a question mark at the end of that, because never really felt like we defeated Zaitan, in all honesty, at the end of that. But, again, sidetracked. And, why Tehern should be entering is because Mordramoth is very active right now, and his second-in-command is already going through all of this stuff, and it wouldn't make sense to not have him enter and not have him come around and try to see what is going on and what has us all curious and wanting to know this stuff. Back on the actual patch, I admit that I actually really enjoyed exploring these areas. As you will see in the background, I started today just running around without my UE turned on, just because I wanted to feel more immersed into it, and it really helped. It was just all very, very beautiful and fun to just challenge yourself and see how far you can go without your UE turned on. And it was new and exciting, and you could climb up onto these crags and explore the area and actually see the world as you would if you really were living in it. Other than that, with the patch, I admit that sometimes it gets really dull just playing the same exact things over and over and over and over again, and every single time I'm on, even if it's the height of the day, we can never get to tier 4, and I know we can get to tier 4 because we get one sliver away from it, and it just doesn't happen. It's kind of sad and kind of depressing. Granted, most of the time I'm on to it, I'm not always trying very hard with it, so I guess that might just be my mistake there. Also, the areas in and of themselves I just enjoyed, but the coins are annoying. I didn't even finish the coins in the first area of Dry Top because it just was, yeah, I get you want you want us to explore this area, but why? Most people are just going to be going after the coins, not really paying attention to the overall artwork. The people who want to pay attention to the artwork and the graphics and all this beautiful scenery will take the time to do so. Those who just want the achievement points will just run through and grab the coins and all that stuff. Whereas I'm one of those people who turned off my UE and ran around for a good 30 minutes without the UE on, unless I was in the middle of an event, and just enjoyed the area. There's a lot of stuff that they did really nicely with this area, and despite the fact that some may feel the area is actually smaller than what was first introduced, I found it feeling larger. It wasn't as open, and it didn't have as much stuff to climb on and look around at, but it did feel bigger to me just because of the fact, even though it was one straight shot, it had more nooks and crannies to explore. I know that sounds kind of weird, but that's what it felt like when I was playing with and without the Yui on. And even when I was just running around trying to get the skill points and the vistas and the points of interest and playing the story the first time through. Now, I also admit, back on the story stuff, that if you are an achievement hunter and wanting all the achievements right off the bat, replaying the entire storyline is annoying. But keep in mind that this stuff isn't meant to be spammed through quickly. It's not the point of the storyline, and you understand it a lot better if you take the time and read through everything that is going on. Just reading it and seeing what your responses are, seeing what everyone will say back, and all of that really, really adds to everything in the game and in the storyline. There are parts of it that are kind of not needed. Well, not needed, but kind of hard to get through. But that could be just me talking, because I did try to go through it a couple of times quickly, and it ended up not being as much fun as the first time, because I was trying for the achievements, and it was like I lost the feel of the immersion when I was in the storyline. But I'm also the kind of person who likes replaying a video game 50 times just to see the differences that I can do in it. I like reading dialogue, I like reading side quests. I'm just that kind of weird person. And the achievements, while fun, can end up being a bit more of a pain than they're really worth. Especially the one where you have to keep everyone alive in it, and you really need a party for that. And I get that they want you to group up in parties, and I was actually in a party at the time, and we didn't get it because one person died, but it still took away more than it was giving. Granted, also at that time I wasn't reading anything or going through it because he wanted to run through it quickly because it was also his second time through, so yeah. Anyway, the story seems to be heading in one direction so far. I don't want to speculate until I see the next trailer or I have more information, but I am really enjoying it, and I still, as I said, hope that they bring back into Hearn and all of the Pact and all of that gets brought back in, and you're again his second or something like that. And speaking of being a second, this is more about being a first. I don't get how it happened, but someone did point out to me that it was probably after Scarlet died. Somehow we ended up the boss of Destiny's Edge 2.0, or whatever the heck they want to be called down the line. And I didn't get it. It was just out of the blue when I first entered, and they started calling me boss, and I was just like, wait a second, I always assumed that Marjorie was the leader here. How did I end up being the leader? How did this come around? What's going on? And eventually I just gave up trying to figure it out. But that's another complaint on my part. And all my complaints are relatively small, and most of them will probably be resolved in the next patch or in patches to come. Anyways, that's basically my 2 cents on the last 2 patches in the storyline. Thank you for watching. This is Flamewing80, signing out.